For years on these calls, we've been telling you that you need to move. If you're on the coastlines, you need to move inland, a minimum of 100 miles inland. Now, for those of you that have never seen this map, I'm sure some of you are sitting by your computers now, and you could probably pull it up. But simply Google U.S. U.S. Navy future map. And you can see it, topographical or satellite view of what is projected to take place. These are things you need to be thinking about as we speak. Because not only the wars being fought on this soil, but the things that are coming and the changes that are coming to this landmass will be critical for your going forward and your survival. So we don't bring you these things, family, to put you in fear. We do bring you these things to notify you of what is coming so that you can prepare. Because once we get past these wars and the Battle of Armageddon, what Father YAHALLAH has prepared for his children is a beautiful future. And of course, Yahushua has already told us that he is here. And so we need to start preparing for going forward for the survival of mankind. So again, family, we only bring you this information to bring you up to speed of what is coming, any information that may be critical to us going forward, and anything that may be standing in our way for that forward movement. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and yield a call to Dr. HENDO I.L. Henderson, the Ad Hoc Chief Justice of the Universal World Court, also known as Yahushua Mashiach, the Son of Man. Rise and shine, sir.
Rise and shine, how do you hear me?
We can hear you quite clearly.
Outstanding. I'm trying to make myself as clear as I can this particular night, being that we're starting a Sunday night thing, in which we know for a fact that everyone on the planet now gets one opportunity to be able to hear exactly what we're saying. And it's going to be a time to this particular night, which I want everyone to turn their would-be attention and turn up the volume of your ears. If you might, I know that you have a beautiful voice, all of you. But at this present moment, I would love for everyone to do each other a favor and just listen. Do not go along with me and making statements in which you know I'm about to make. But I need you to pay close attention to what I'm going to bring you tonight. I want to say to you, rise and shine, and welcome to the call, all of those who are listening for the first time, and you now get an opportunity to have this particular night, a Sunday night, whereby you're being able to hear us at a moment where I'm sure a lot of you probably spent most of your day out and about doing those things that we classify to be getting nothing more than fed based upon your spiritual being. So I know a lot of you have just now came home from being fed by what is known as the Holy Would-Be Spirit or the Holy Word of God. But I need you to turn your attention right now to what I'm about to say, because this is very important for everyone on the planet to understand and to know. This is great knowledge. So before I begin it, I want to say, once again, rise and shine to everyone on the call. I want to say welcome to the call. This call is identified as the US of A call, or should we even go to the extent of calling it the American call? Based on the fact of this is what we recognize, this is how we identify at this particular moment as being from the United States of America or being Americans. And because we're being recognized as that and identified as that, knowing that that's not our identity, it's not our title, and it will do nothing to bring us forward into the future, in which now the future nations are preparing themselves to even wipe from their memories anyone that would have had the title of the US of A, of the United States, of the American. They are preparing themselves to wipe their memories totally clear of any would-be statement of such or any identity of such. So we need to pay close attention to what's going on around the planet right now, what's being said, what's being brought about. Again, welcome to the call. If this is your first time listening, I say truly welcome. I want to go as far as identifying who we are so you will understand that what you're listening to, this is not a would-be fly-by-day call. This is not a social media call where everyone gets to ask questions in some Q&A session. This is not one of these would-be so-called social calls where everyone gets to come up on a platform and get to find themselves getting an opportunity to be the lead voice on the call. And it would possibly be a great would-be outing if we could all do that. But we don't have time on the planet. Neither will I tell you that I'm one who I don't like time at all, but it is precious to everyone on the planet right now. And because of that, we have to move swiftly to get the things that we're doing. We have to do it swiftly to get them accomplished. So again, as I rise and shine you, I've given you a brief introduction. Once again, we are the World Global Network, Reset, Restoration Network family. This family is a large family. We are amassed in what is known as 198 sovereign nations. These sovereign nations makes up of 7 billion sovereign principles. That's 7 billion sovereign individuals who are now and must remain working together in order that this planet will survive and it will not go extinct. So in saying that, we understand that life as we know it is changing. But we must be honest with ourselves that the life in which we have lived up to this point, we don't know if it's changed or not. We don't even know what the original state of it was. I can assure you that there have been those that have been on the planet with you, with myself, with all of us, that have now, they have exited this planet. And a lot of them that exited the planet, they exited on a mindset whereby they were totally confused. I know, but you have to understand, no, this is not a negative in their would-be so-called area of what they're going to get in life or out of life. It's not a negative for them. As a matter of fact, if we go back to what we believe to be the Holy Scriptures, the Holy Scriptures have a statement in it whereby they hear the one they call Jesus the Christ even saying a prayer for those of them who have already exited the planet that was not aware of what we are now aware of. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And you need to understand that those of them who have already exited the planet, that done some things, said some things, and even believed some things that were not true. And thereby, they have been already given God's mercy and grace, whereby it will not be held against them. Now, I'm saying this because you got a lot of people out there that they jump to conclusions. And they think because one is beginning to finally get knowledge or information on things that we didn't have from would be 50, 30, even 10 years ago. And because we're receiving it now, you want to believe that those people that were here prior to that time, that they ended up in someone's hell, or then they were bad people, or they were misled people, and thereby they're going to be led to hell. That's not how it works. Again, I say, the prayer simply came from YAHALLAH, God of the universe, through His Son, whereby it says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So if they had no idea of what they were doing was wrong, or even incorrect, they have already been given grace for it, and they're going to be fine. Now, as for you, those of you who are here now, that are truly getting the true messages and understanding the truth right now, that will still reject the truth, you're going to hell. I have to be straightforward with you. If I don't be straightforward with you, you will think that you're going to gain some mercy, or that you're going to get God's would-be, if you may call it that, grace, and you're not. Because you're now being informed of the truth, and if you reject the truth, you're going to be in trouble. That's why I've already given you this would-be so-called great world recommendation now, whereby I've said to you, it's either truth or it's a lie. It's either life or death. There's no in-between. You either accept or you will reject. And on all accords, you can reject the truth as well as you can reject the lie, whereby to accept the truth will also get you in trouble to accept the lie. So in other words, I'm saying you can only have one or the other. You cannot have death and receive what will be known as the truth. If you receive death, that means it's going to be one reason, because you're going to be that accepted the lie. And if you receive the truth and accept the truth, you will receive life. It works just like that. Now that I'm at that point of talking about life and how it's going to be, we might say, rewarded or awarded out by YAHALLAH, God of the universe, we have to go back just a few would-be, I would say, lifetimes So we can come to the fact and the point of what I've been bringing to people now, and I did say I know to use that word I, a lot of people don't like hearing it because they want to say we, they want to say us, they want to say them, they want to say they want to say all of us. But I have to be truthful. It has not yet been they, them, all of us, but it's only been one that I've heard brought the same would-be message to the planet. And I would have to say he was the one that was written once upon a time to be classified as your Jesus the Christ. Other than that, there's only been one other that I have brought this message, and I'm doing it right now as we so speak. And no, I'm not your Jesus the Christ. I don't want to be your Jesus the Christ. As a matter of fact, I already recognize just how you treat your Jesus the Christ. I see how you reward your Jesus the Christ. I see how you even celebrated your Jesus the Christ. And I don't think by any chance anyone would want to be in his position. So with that, I need you to follow along with me, that I want you to pay attention because I'm bringing you the same truths in a manner where now they have never been exploited in the manner that they are now. They have never been recognized in the manner that they are now. And everyone on the planet, he and she, stay with me, please. He and she, I'm believing that this is going to be something that we're going to commonly have to do now, saying he and she, because we recognize that she has come to a point that she has separated herself from the he, and now she wants to hear you say she, rather than to just say you all, or the people. She wants to hear he and she, and now they've gotten to a point of a manner where they want to hear he, she, lesbian, queer, bisexual, transsexual, gender transformation. They want to hear all of these would-be so-called different would-be definitions of what they want to classify to be human beings, people on the planet. And it's just becoming so ignorant until most of the people that are saying it don't really actually themselves understand what they're saying. So tonight, for our first call on a Sunday night, the first call, I want to clear up some things, and I'm going to clear them up by way of reading something to you that just on the 10th day, the 10th month, correction, on the 10th month, the 22nd day, 2022, I need you to hear it again. I'm going to say it again. On the day of 10/2022, I need you to understand that they have just come out with this so-called report, that this report has been out so long ago until one must recognize that back in 2020, I myself, Dr. Henderson, was telling everyone that came into my contact, everyone who came to my space, I was telling them this exact same fact, in which now they're claiming that they just put this information out 10/22/22, and that's not true. This information was put out by myself back in 1984, and they're just now telling the people. So let me read it to you. It says, there is growing evidence that life on Earth started more than just RNA. Let me repeat that. They're writing a story now saying there's growing evidence that life on Earth started with more than just RNA, which we already know that. But no one has been talking about RNA just until about would have been approximately 10 years ago now. Other than that, everybody has been talking DNA. They even now have people locked up in prison behind DNA tests, which I told everyone before that DNA does not identify you as a human being. DNA doesn't even identify you as being a person. It does not. And thereby, for it to tell someone that they have DNA evidence and lock a person up is totally a lie in disguise. And I'm not telling you that the people that they're found are not people. I'm not telling you that they're not guilty of whatever crime they have committed. But I'm telling you that they did not find that information out because of DNA. More than likely, they found that information out because they had enough evidence to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the person either committed the crime or he didn't. By way of following him, perhaps with his telephone, by way of following him, perhaps by his own would-be personal body being there, based on the fact that everyone has a would-be so-called chip inside of them. Where if they wanted to, they can follow everyone every day, constantly, 24/7 a day, if they wanted to. They just don't. So I am saying to you that 99.9% of the time, the crimes that are committed can be prevented if the real world that has the ability to follow every individual on this planet can prevent that crime from ever happening. They just don't. The more crimes happen, the more accidents happen, the more that the would-be emergency crew gets there at a later time, a later date, a later hour. Chances are, whatever the crime that would have taken place or the accident, that individual would have long expired. And that's the whole would-be purpose of them not wanting to be there or not wanting to do anything to prevent it. Because the least of the numbers that survive, the better off it is for their system. And I'm talking about those that they only looking for to remain 500 million people. We got 8.5 billion people on the planet right now. 7 billion of them now are identifying themselves and classifying themselves to be of a human would-be structure, which is really a threat to them now. And I'm talking about the aliens, the unrighteous, the would-be. I mean, you got names for them. I'll let you use your name for them. Nephilims, you have your Gentiles, you have your would-be so-called Israelis that classify themselves to be Jews. Everyone now can be broken down into groups where they identify themselves, and the identity that they're giving themselves is nothing more than a mythological lie. Because I would say the majority of them are not even human. Don't everybody start looking for a UFO to land in your backyard tonight. That's not what I'm telling you. The Nephilims are exactly what they are. They are aliens, and they do exist among us. And they have been tested by their would-be, if we might call it that, their blood. Now, again, I'm going to state the subject in which I'm talking about based upon the fact that the whole world, and especially the United States of America, has made it and drawn it to its own attention right now that it is so interested in it until it is going to be a major would-be setback for anyone on the planet not to know this and not to recognize it when they begin to present it directly into your homerooms and into your houses. Now, the reason I said your homeroom, that's where you would be going when schooling you. You have a homeroom. Everyone has a homeroom. You normally show up there in alphabetical order, at least, that they will have some order to be able to give you the information of what you're going to need. But the reason I'm saying all of that is you are a student, but you have not been a student of truth. You've been a student to the lie, not to the truth. So here we go again with my subject of what now has drawn everybody's attention on the planet. It says there's growing evidence that life on Earth started with more than just RNA, which we already know that. It says how life originated on Earth continues to fascinate scientists, but it's not easy peering back billions of years into the past. Now evidence is growing for a relatively new hypothesis of how life began, with a very precise mix of RNA and DNA. Now listen to this, because I told you the difference between RNA and DNA, and I told you how one kind of compares to the other, and I told you where the one came from and where the other came from. I explained to you that this mix, RNA and DNA, RNA comes from being your would-be terrestrial being, and your DNA comes from being your celestial being. The celestial being is the one that comes from the ground, that's on the earth. And the celestial being is the one that comes from the sky or the heavens or wherever you might want to dream it up to be on some planet. But RNA and DNA, they're telling you now that it has a mixture and a very precise mix. And I can assure you, they already know, because I know just how much of this mixture is in the RNA compared to the DNA. Now, here's what they go on to say. RNA and DNA both determine the genetic makeup of all biological life. Let me repeat that, just in case someone wasn't listening. RNA and DNA both determine the genetic makeup of all biological life. They go on to say, with DNA acting as a genetic blueprint and RNA as a blueprint reader or decoder. Notice that. DNA is acting as a genetic blueprint, and RNA is acting as a blueprint reader or decoder. So why are they not doing RNA to determine if the individual is or is not human, or is he android, or is he alien? Why are they not using RNA to determine this? Because that's your reader and that's your decoder. Stay with me. This is only Dr. Henderson speaking, so don't become alarmed and don't believe that you can go and start listening to all these people that say that they're blood specialists. I've already dealt with them before. They've been on one of my particular calls, and they told me they were blood specialists, and they told me that they draw blood. And they couldn't tell me anything about RNA. They told me everything about DNA, which I knew was a lie, because they cannot read DNA, because DNA does not have a reader or a decoder on it, and I knew that. I would say, now, I've been knowing that since I was 5 years old. You might say, we learned it a lot in what was known as the Black Panthers would-be organization. But you have to understand, not everybody in the Black Panthers organization was really listening either. So a lot of them missed it. Excuse me, my brothers and sisters. Black Power, Hungawa. I'm still here. Now, along with saying that, it says for a long time it was thought that RNA developed on Earth first, with DNA evolving afterwards. But they say, but now mounting evidence suggests they may have emerged at the same time, and both been involved in kickstarting life on the planet. And they have. And that's very simple and easy for anyone to be able to get this information. It don't take a rocket science, because all you got to do is go to the Holy Bible, in which they're classifying to be so holy that it doesn't hold any information that you need, but you do. Because it tells you that in the Holy Bible, it says that there were those angels, right, that came down from heaven. Let's just say they got kicked out. They had a reason to leave heaven, okay? And they came down and they slept with those that were known as the daughters of men. Stay with me now, because now I know. I saw your light come on. I know. I saw your light come on. Just keep it flashing. I'll get to you in a minute. So here we have now a classic example of how this DNA and this RNA mix is so mixed now, where you have an alienistic individual wrapped up inside of a humanistic individual that we call mankind. Stay with me. And this is why now you got some of those would-be so-called professors out there that have claimed to be God, or they have claimed themselves to be of God, because they already have deemed themselves to be more of an RNA specimen, which now they have been able to do what they call decode and use their reader to determine that they got more DNA in them of a mix than they do of an RNA. Stay with me. Did anybody miss that, or did everybody catch what I just said? So now, in other words, what they're telling you is that they got more of their would-be daddy's blood in them than they got of their mother's blood in them. What? God Almighty. Stay with me, women. Don't get angry now. I told you, this is not an attack upon the feminine force. I came to balance out the masculine force and the feminine force, knowing that the feminine force has already unbalanced life so bad. No, it wasn't her fault. You're right. I mean, you got to understand, Lucifer and his sons, they were some handsome dudes, man. Let me help you out. They all drove those sunroof top Cadillacs with diamonds in the back. They all were smoking blunts. Stay with me. They all got high. They all were drinking. They all did everything that God had told them not to do. Stay with me. Don't get angry with me. Just sit down and be quiet. God Almighty. See, I knew this was going to happen on Sunday. That's why I kind of prolonged us doing it on a Sunday night, because everybody believes that Sunday is the holy day, so they want to keep it holy. So, you know, you're going to have to calm down and relax for a moment here. Because we're only talking about RNA and DNA right now. You don't want me to talk about the other things that goes along with it, because right now you're probably exposed. A 2021 study backed up this idea by explaining how the simple compound of DAP, which may have predated life on Earth. I know you don't even understand what DAP is. but they say can knit together with DNA, building blocks that cause it, everybody know what deoxynucleoside, into a basic DNA strand. Now, in other words, they're telling you this DP, this DAP, once it mixes with DNA, it can block out a whole lot of stuff and break it down to only being just a DNA strand rather than DNA. See what I mean? They said this finding is important. It's an important step toward the development of a detailed chemical model of how the first life forms originated on Earth. Now, they just now saying that they got this back in January 2021. I already told you that I wrote them a report back in 1984 explaining to them RNA and DNA. I did an extensive report on RNA and DNA. So now I've become a student of all of those people that tell me that they're closet physics doctors and closet physics scientists. I'm listening to all of them because to jump back in time, back and forth, we can do that all day long, all of us. It's called mind searching. But for us to be able to jump back in time, some would be billions of years ago, to determine whether we are of an RNA or DNA specimen or organism, we would have to really, really dig deep down inside of us. And that's going to scare a lot of us because now you got to dig into the inside of you of what you truly, really are, whether you're evil or good. I know some of you got kind of scared when I said that. If you are RNA negative, okay. I told you what Rh negative meant before. I told you that they were talking to you about being with no RNA blood at all. And if they determine you to be Rh negative or RA negative, they're telling you that you are strictly nothing more than a Nephilim. You are a would-be so-called alien. And believe it or not, they didn't come to destroy the aliens. I need everyone to understand that. They came to destroy the terrestrial being, which is man. Stay with me, God. I know. I'm educating you to a point where you don't want to hear no more because it's going to get scary. I already know. That's been our problem in school. Whenever you start getting the truth, the first thing you wanted to do was hurry up and close that book because you didn't want to scare yourself. And I'm saying this because the Caucasian world, of the Caucasian world, of white world, once they began to start digging so deep into the history books, they closed them. They got tired of reading them. They got tired of reading about guys they found out were black. And they didn't want to hear it no more. They were like, wait a minute. Opella was black? They didn't want to hear that anymore. You know, they're going now only to find out that people that they really, really admire and that they read about and that they place in all these would-be history books and storybooks. Machiavelli. Oh, Machiavelli was black? Nostradamus, he was black? Beethoven, he was black? I'm just telling you. So once they began to truly dig into the history, like digging into this RNA and this RNA and DNA report and this study, they began to start closing the book because the fear comes in when you start realizing that you're not truly the would-be initial. It starts to put fear in you. Oh, we weren't the first people here. I was not amongst the first genetic makeup of people. By the way, I'm still not part of this genetic makeup of people that are classified to be RNA, the terrestrial people of the planet. And I am classified as an alien, a Nephilim. Stay with me. They said that findings, these findings, they add credential, credit to the idea that both DNA and RNA develop together from the same sort of chemical reactions at the beginning of life on our planet. And that the first self-republication of this molecule could have been mixed of both these nuclear acids, not just RNA, as suggested in the more established RNA world based upon hypothesis. One of the big issues with the idea that RNA alone gave us what they call a rise to life on Earth is how RNA was able to go through the necessity or the necessary self-replications as reproducing itself process. RNA usually requires an enzyme to split, which we know involved after RNA was already initially on the planet. From what we know so far, it seems that RNA had some kind of helping hand in engineering life. And the latest experiments show that DNA could well have been it creating what they call now some chemical molecule strand that can separate more easily than RNA alone. Notice what it said, it can separate more than RNA alone. That's because DNA has a problem. That's why now they're trying to recreate, or they're trying to create some substance that they can add to your DNA to alter your DNA, whereby it can teach your DNA how to do nothing more than decode and to become a reader. And that's what's bringing all about these things that is called viruses. Because DNA does not have the ability to use something that is called an antibiotic, because it is not what would be classified to be human or mankind, and thereby is classified as nothing more than an alien or just a would-be organism that no one can recognize, and thereby it cannot fight off these would-be so-called viruses, as which they have identified to be viruses that are coming to destroy that which is known as DNA, which is the demon, which is known nothing more than an alien. But they're making this would-be so-called vial of a chemical to place inside of people who already obtained a reader and a decoder, which is known as RNA. And what they keep on injecting you with this would-be so-called chemical, they're trying now to destroy the RNA and give DNA a better chance of being able to become a reader and a decoder, which will never happen, because God himself created man. He did not put an alien here to take man's place. Stay with me. He could have done that initially. He could have placed on Satan here on this planet and told him to have dominion over everything on the planet. He could have told on Satan to make sure that he take care of them cotton crops, because he was going to give him some more alien would-be so-called demons that he was going to want them to chop that cotton until they at least found themselves to be as dark as the Negroes that he had already created. Say with me, God Almighty. I keep telling you, the scientists, they don't like me. The historians, they despise me, because they don't want me here at this time to give you these truths. Because they know once you begin to start accepting the truth and rejecting the lie, you're going to have life, and you're going to have everlasting life. But if you keep rejecting these truths, you're going to die and have eternal death. And that's what they are believing you're going to do. But let me do your favor. But nobody's listening to me. Sunday, everybody just got home. They just had their Sunday meal at someone would be AHA, maybe at the would-be Golden Corral, and who knows? If they made enough money in the church, they probably even stopped by what was known as Red Lobster, and they really got busy. But until we at least find some time for the last would-be speaker of the day, let's take a break.
Thank you, Yahushua. Thank you for that truth. Now they have no excuse. Now you understand